President Cyril Ramaphosa has defended the party's step-aside resolution at the State Capture Commission, where he appeared yesterday. He told the commission that the resolution needs time to be tested. Well, today was meant to be the deadline for ANC officials facing criminal charges to adhere to that resolution. But will they? Let's discuss this further then with a political editor at News 24, Kanita Hunter, who's joining us by Zoom this afternoon. Kanita, always good to speak to you. So you're a woman with your ear on the ground. Will people like Ace Magashule actually step aside or wait to be forced out?
Yeah, I think that the ANC has again kicked the can down the road and is now looking to an NEC meeting at the end, in May, so next weekend, to then take a final decision as to what must happen next. But you would have heard the president saying yesterday that, this was part of the ANC dealing with state capture and corruption. But you have to realize, Temegile, that since August 2020, the president has been saying, we're drawing a line in the sand, we're drawing a line in the sand. But there has been no tangible action. And so what has happened then is that the step-aside policy of the ANC has become almost something to pacify the public when asked about, what are you doing about corruption? No, our leaders who are charged with corruption will be asked to step aside. But have they stepped aside? They haven't.
But it takes us back, Kanita, to that debate about party over country, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I think that it was very telling in President Cyril Ramaphosa's testimony yesterday when he said that, he basically conceded that the only time the ANC really took the allegations of state capture quite seriously was when they started feeling it in the polls. And you saw in 2016 the ANC getting a hiding in the local government elections. And it was only then did the party take a step back and say, okay, what is the situation? What should we be doing? Despite the fact that there's media reports from 2011 that pointed to the influence of the Gupta family, that in the NEC of 2011, where Fikile Mbalula stood up and said, the Gupta family is offering me offered me a job and announced my appointment to me before the president had. And there was nothing, there was inaction for 5-6 years. And so it was very telling when the president, kept saying that, that was in the past and now we're trying to do something about it. Yes, the conference resolution of the NASDAQ conference was that, the ANC takes a firm line against corruption. What has happened since 2017 December? Not much. In fact, corruption accused leaders, not only are in the ANC leadership, but they also are rewarded with top positions, whether it is chairpersonships of portfolio committees, etc.
And isn't that the bigger complication? Because a lot of the coverage on this step-aside resolution has been about what happens to Secretary General Ace Magashule. So if the NEC, the top six at the very least, were to say, well, perhaps let's come up with a political compromise, as is now being touted, a political solution, if you will, to the problem, that would also have to extend to the other members of the ANC who may not be SG, but they too are facing serious charges. I'm thinking of Zandile Gumede, for example, in KZN. I don't imagine she would want to be gone out of the picture completely if there's a special arrangement for the SG.
Temegile, the reality of it is that this entire step-aside policy is a PR stunt for the ANC, right? It was last year when the ANC, really, when the public got extremely annoyed at the ANC, considering the level of looting we saw with COVID-19. And you could see this, palatable anger towards the governing party, and the ANC realized that they needed to do something. And obviously there is this constant, lingering in the air that the ANC is not doing much about corruption. So this step-aside thing was meant to, pacify those people, people who are angry that the ANC is not acting. But I mean, how effective is it going to be that you have a political solution to your own resolution? This is not something imposed by the public. If you want corrupt people to lead your party, there's nothing we as the public can do about it besides not vote for you. And I think that this is definitely the stick that the ANC needs to have to dangle in front of voters, so that when they go to the polls at the end of the year in October, you can say, yes, we did something about corruption. Look, the SG of the ANC has stepped aside. But I mean, how effective is it, considering, and how telling is it that there are so many leaders and structures of the party that are saying, oh no, if you criminally charge, it's wrong for the ANC for you to step aside. It really is exposing the fabric of the ANC and the type of leaders it has in its midst.
How likely then is a rebellion from the provinces if those that are asking for an extension of this period, of this 30 days to go back and consult at branch level, if they don't get their way?
Yeah, I think that, the longer there is an effort to just sort of constantly kick the can down the road, because there is the realization by Ace Magashule's supporters that national conference is next year. And, it always reminds me of that statement he made just after the NASDAQ conference, comrades, it's only a matter of 5 years. And so they are hedging their bets on the political dynamics to shift. Obviously, at the moment, President Cyril Ramaphosa and his supporters seem to have the majority. But again, first it was a decision, then they needed to deal with rules, then the top six had to deal with it, then it was a 30-day ultimatum, and still the matter, people are running around it. And the reality is, if the Secretary General, who effectively by design would be responsible for other people, following this resolution, doesn't abide by this resolution, it's a bad precedent for anyone else. Because if you were, a councillor in a eThekwini municipality, for example, it means nothing for you to stay in your position and to amass power while you can, and as a result, continue life as normal, knowing full well that the ANC can't do much, because its main headache at the moment is its Secretary General, who is out in 200,000 bail.
Kanita Hunter, political editor at Media 24, good to speak to you. Thank you.